You're listening to the Behind the Tee podcast, hosted by your favorite club curlers, Rob and Kelly. The show where we share our thoughts on what's happening in the curling world with the internet. But let's be real, we end up talking about football half the time anyways. Hey Rob, looks like we're really bad at making predictions.
Well, that's nothing new.
I don't remember how last week we said how we're looking forward to watching the mixed doubles curling trials, and you said that it wasn't going to happen, but I was optimistic.
I think, just to back that up, I think because I just listened to the to last week's episode yesterday. That's how behind I am. And I think the line was, I'm really looking forward to the mixed doubles curling trials. It's going to give us something to do in that awkward week between Christmas and New Year's. And I think one of us said something along the lines of, I just hope Omicron doesn't shut it down.
I think that was you.
And then the other one said, I'm sure it'll be fine. And unfortunately, as you said, Kelly, we gave it the official behind the tee kiss of death.
Yeah, because I think the announcement came on December 26th, kind of end of day. And the trials were supposed to start on the 28th,
Today.
Or actually today, the day we were recording. So there's definitely a lot of mixed feelings about this. Obviously not surprised that it happened, but a lot of players maybe disagree on the decision Curling Canada made.
First of all, quite the nice pun there with the mixed feelings, I gotta say.
You're welcome.
Yeah, a lot of reaction to this and a lot of questions about how things are going to proceed. But, can we just put that aside for a second?
Sure.
Because there was another big news item that I want to get out there right away before we forget. And it's that, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty ticked off. We put the offer out there to Darren Molding to come and join our Tuesday night team now that he had been kicked off of Brendan Botcher's team for personal reasons and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out he did not accept our offer. He's gone to curl with James Grattan out of New Brunswick.
Our favorite team. You know what? I think had he gone to any other team besides Grattan, I would be a little upset. But in this case, I'm okay with his decision.
I know, actually, all kidding aside, I'm looking forward to watching them play. It's a 1-year commitment. He's not going to stay with this team long term, which makes sense. And I think both sides of the story already agree with that and recognize that. But it'll be fun to watch because that New Brunswick team always plays well when they get to the Brier. They're a constant 6-5, just missing the playoffs kind of team. And I wonder how they'll fare now that they've got a really, really experienced third. It could go wrong too, but...
But Grattan's team though, so is Molding coming in as the fifth player or the alternate?
I think he's going to slide right into the third position.
Okay. Or are they doing a Jennifer Jones style where they're just a 5-man team and they rotate a certain position?
It's possible. And I don't mean any disrespect to the New Brunswick team, but I'm pretty sure Darren will be constantly playing and they'll figure out the rest. I have to be honest, when I read the press release, I just kind of scanned it to be oh, they've got Darren Molding. And then I didn't even really bother to read what they were planning to do with the other players.
It was not important.
No, we did scan it though, looking to see if they had mentioned anything about personal reasons, which they did not. We were kind of sad.
I feel like that's the tagline of 2021, personal reasons.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to the feature game, which I hope TSN will make a feature game, is the Team Canada and New Brunswick game to see Botcher versus Molding. And I think rest of Canada is eager to watch that game.
I know. It's going to be a lot of attention on Team New Brunswick. Although we have to back it up. They have to make it out of New Brunswick first. Hopefully they do.
Well, they have for how many years now?
They're a constant force out of New Brunswick, but there's always some good teams there. There is a little bit of turnover every now and then. So it's not a done deal, and it's a really good team on paper now. But I don't know. So often we've seen things like this where you bring in a ringer from another province and, well, it doesn't always work out.
Well, the personalities may clash. That's the hard part.
The last time an Atlantic team recruited somebody from Alberta, I'm thinking of the famous Brad Gushu, Randy Furby experiment, Randy Furby shout out, that went horribly, horribly wrong. So, but I don't think that'll happen this time. I think that they'll get along. I think it'll be a fun team to watch. And again, that New Brunswick team, if they ever played on Brier ice regularly, and if they could travel the country the way the other really experienced teams do, they would win even more games. The fact that they can go 6-5 and hold their own, I think is pretty impressive. And maybe they'll do even better.
Yeah, maybe Molding is just going to be that key to, bring them to that championship round and to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I know we'll be cheering for them, even though we were cast aside in this decision, but what can you do?
It's all right. Even then, our club league is up in the air these days. So you probably made the better choice.
Yeah.
So back to mixed doubles, which I was like hoping this was going to fill in my week between Christmas and New Year's. And now I have to find something else to do because
where we live, by the way, we're probably headed back to another curfew or something like that.
Don't say that.
I know I said the C word. It's really, the Omicron cases are getting really, really bad. We had to shut down our curling club last week and it's getting really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of stuck at home.
I guess Curling Canada kind of like released a statement as to why they decided to cancel. And essentially, yeah, like the cases have been rising just across Canada, but also the main thing is that a lot of the players who are supposed to go were testing positive. Mm-hmm. So it kind of made no sense then to have the event. And one of the criticisms that we've heard within the curling circle was that, this is unfair for all the teams who tested negative and that they should still play, which I highly disagree with.
Absolutely.
Especially if, basically because of, the whole nature of the situation, if you compare it to last year where they made a bubble, well, this year there's no time to make a bubble just because everyone was traveling and no one had time to self-isolate before they got there. Hence why all of these positive cases. And then what's the point of having a tournament or trials when half the teams are out?
Right.
At that point, you might as well just cancel it and pick a team, which they're going to do. Not ideal, but...
That's right. And I think you hit the nail on the head there when you pointed out that there's an argument out there that the tournament should proceed for the people that test negative. And I think that's extremely unfair and quite offensive as well to people that are testing positive, because it's totally beyond our control here. We're all going to, the way things are headed, I don't want to say this, but we're all going to test positive at some point. And it's not like you can, Omicron is so transmissible that you can go about your daily life not leaving your house, go to the grocery store wearing a mask, and you will still get it. Mm-hmm. To imply that we've been, that a competitor was not following the rules or anything because they tested positive, I don't know. I think that's kind of stigmatizing people and...
Mm-hmm. And I think some of them took offense to that. But also, too, it's a risk even hosting the event because let's say someone does come into the event and only test positive once they get there. And then while the event is going on, teams are just dropping out. Well, the team that is left, the last man standing is going to win. That's not really fair. So unfortunately, from a fan's perspective, it sucks because we have no curling to watch, but definitely the right choice in the grand scheme of things. So that being said, what's going to happen now is Curling Canada's high performance team or staff, in consultation with the Canadian Olympic Committee, will be making the selection of the team who will be representing Canada. And so I thought maybe we can just go through the roster and provide our selection of who we think is going to be selected. And by doing that, we're going to jinx them. So they won't be going.
That is a good idea. I was thinking the same thing.
All right, so let's just go through the roster first because we actually didn't do this in previous episodes.
I am ready. Fire it up.
So team number 1 is Burchard Schneider from the Highland Curling Club in Regina.
Really good pick, by the way, if they want to go with them, because as we've pointed out before, never bet against Shannon Burchard.
Exactly. Although 2021 hasn't been...
Maybe not. That's right. For the Tournament of Hearts, Shannon Burchard is every Tournament of Hearts she's played in, she has won the whole thing. But Olympics, I guess not. So...
Then we have Team Carey and Hodgson from the Red Lake Curling Club in Ontario. So these were, this team came in through a last chance event.
Kind of like I said about Burchard, don't bet against Chelsea Carey either.
She
always seems to sneak her way into prominence. And so I feel like if they pick this team, it'd be a really good representative.
Yeah, and they've been around the mixed doubles circuit quite a while too. I've seen their names on this circuit. And they're both very good curlers, have had a lot of success in regular play. Then we have here an official, I don't want to say official, but an official mixed doubles team is Team Desjardins and Desjardins, so a father-daughter team from Quebec, from the Chicoutimi Curling Club.
I think they should go too. I know I'm saying I think they should go for every team. I'm going to keep on doing that. We're going to be positive here. But I think they should go because we played them once and they beat us. And that way we could say like, hey, we played against the Olympic team.
And I think we've talked about this before last season, but this is also the team that we were playing against when Rob had his epic wipeout, moving all the stones in the house.
That's true. No one has ever peeled as many rocks as I did. I used my body instead of the rock.
Yeah, but so anyways, this team has been playing together in mixed doubles like for quite a while now. They're definitely one of the first in the province to kind of go competitive with mixed doubles.
They caught on to it before the rest of the big names jumped on the bandwagon. So full credit to them.
Then we have Team Einarsson and Jacobs.
With no photo available.
No photo available.
We're reading the same website.
They're from No Curling Club too. But basically for this team, it was supposed to be Einarsson and Bret Gushue, but since Gushue is already going to the Olympics, they swapped him out for another Brad.
I feel like this team might get picked because Carrie Einarsson won the Canadian Mixed Doubles Championship last year with Brad Gushue, who has got something that he's committed to. I kind of forget what. But Brad Jacobs, 1 game away from the Olympics too. That would be a pretty good team.
I see what you're saying, and they would probably be on my short list of teams that are going. However, I think compared to everyone else, they actually haven't played together.
Right. Now that I think of it.
So even though they are experienced and they have represented Canada on the international stage, I think just because they haven't really like played together, they won't be picked.
That reminds me, actually, last year, too, we were complaining when Carrie and Brad, the other Brad, won the trial, or not the trials, the mixed doubles nationals. Even though they played really well and they deserve full credit for their performance, it was their first time playing together.
And it was Carrie's first time playing mixed doubles as well.
Yeah. So with as good as that team would be on paper, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I love how we said positive things about every team so far, and now we're dumping on Einarsson Jacobs. Forget them.
Exactly. Hey, we're keeping it honest here. Next team, we have Grandy and Jansen from the Oshawa Golf and Curling Club in Ontario. I know Clancy Grandy has been around in Ontario for quite a bit.
So was Patrick Jansen. Used to curl with John Epping.
Oh, okay.
And he was the alternate with Brendan Botcher.
Right.
I believe. So more good curling there.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about them, and unfortunately they are not on my short list. But I'm sure they would have performed well. Then we have Team Homan and Morris from the Canmore Golf and Curling Club in Alberta. So I think this will be the team picked.
I think it will be too.
But basically, both players have been to the Olympics before. Morris has been to the Olympics as a mixed doubles rep, won the gold medal. And they've definitely been playing mixed doubles together for quite a while. So I think they're definitely up for contention.
I think so. I fully agree with you. I think this team kind of checks all the boxes that they're going to be looking for on this, whatever criteria they have. I think that I'd be pretty surprised if it was anybody but Homan and Morris.
And also, because the Canadian Olympic Committee is part of this decision, based on the last Olympics, we know that they value Olympic experience from, if you remember what happened to Homan's team and how they replaced her 5th player. I would put my money on this team.
Yeah, and just to make it even more of a thing, I'm going to be the first to say this, but a lot of these teams, as I hover over them, have no coach. This team does have a coach, and it's Al Hackner, the legendary Al Hackner.
The one and only.
As if they, like, as we said, they already checked all the boxes. Now they've got even another one. Like, it doesn't come much better than that from coaches, right?
Pretty much.
Except maybe Randy Furby, but...
Maybe Randy will be the alternate.
I would love to see that.
That would be amazing.
Watch Curling Canada and name him as an alternate.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. And if they do that, we need to buy a lottery ticket.
Yes.
So next team is Martin and Griffith from the Martinsville Curling Club in Saskatchewan. So this is a team that does really well in mixed doubles.
Right. And even though I don't think they'll be picked, this is the kind of team I want to get some really serious consideration because they dedicate themselves pretty much exclusively to mixed doubles. And I know that Nancy Martin was at the Tournament of Hearts last year. I believe Tyrell Griffith was too at the Briar in the bubble. But if I remember right, and I probably don't, neither team did particularly well. But when they played mixed doubles, they were a force to be reckoned with. Like that's what they're designed for.
No, I totally agree. And I think, I mean, we can get into this later, but it kind of sparks that debate of mixed doubles in Canada and like, should we promote specific mixed doubles teams, or should we move towards the model of having elite athletes who have their own like men's and women's team form their own mixed doubles teams as well and kind of play both?
That's right. And just to bring it back to John Morris and Rachel Homan for a second, but if I remember right, John Morris, after like pretty much dedicated himself to mixed doubles, and he got pulled away from that by Kevin Cooey when he came calling. But even that, if that's part of the selection criteria, he can say that, like that he's dedicated himself to this. So the curling resume on that team, just I'm getting to the point where I'll be shocked if it's not them.
Pretty much. And honestly, if I were Morris, I think he's had so much success in regular men's play. Retire that and just start mixed doubles and continue on your curling legacy.
Yeah.
That way. So we can get back to that debate at another time. Next team is Selena Negovin and Bret Lang. So again, this is a new team because Lang and Jennifer Jones were supposed to play together, but Jones also won a spot to the Olympics. So Selena's taking her place. And they're from the Barrie Curling Club, which is a different curling club.
They are for sure hopping from club to club.
Oh, for sure. I still am confused as how their residency is picked.
I'd love to know where they live, yeah.
Oh, I digress. Next team is Zahadak and Lott from the Winnipeg Beach Curling Club. So this team is also on my short list.
Me
if
too.
I were to pick, if it's not going to be Morris Homan, I think it might be this team, just because they've had a lot of like mixed doubles success. They're two people that really dedicate themselves to mixed doubles, and they were the runner-ups last year at a national event.
I was going to say, this is the team that I want to be picked. Them or Martin Griffith, because they're the ones that dedicate themselves, but this is the team that I would really hope that they pick. I don't think that they will, because I think that it's really easy to just get in line with look at how decorated Morris and Homan are. But as you said, this team dedicates themselves pretty much exclusively to mixed doubles, and they do it damn well. We learned that last year. They were very close to winning the whole thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have no contacts with Curling Canada, but I do think they're going to favor international experience over quality of play.
It's not something that I like, that I think they're going to always side with notoriety rather than maybe who's worked the hardest for this. But I don't even blame Curling Canada for this, because, I mean, we can talk about this at the end, but what an awful position to be put in. Like, nobody, this is what we hate about how the other countries manage their teams. We hoped that we would never have to do this, but COVID had other ideas. So
that's true. And to be honest too, I think regardless of which team they pick, someone's gonna have a fit and not gonna agree. I'm telling you, once they do announce it, Facebook is a place to be for all those opinions that we care so deeply about.
That's it. So the next team on the list, Kelly, is Team Sauter/Botcher. Now I want to give you my opinion, but I'm actually gonna not give it to you for personal reasons. But
then we have Team St. George and Asselin from the Glenmore Curling Club in Quebec. We've seen before, they played at the national event last year, and they're from our home province. Unfortunately, they're not on my short list. I think they've had quite some success in mixed doubles, but they're still new to the mixed doubles game.
Certainly at the local level. Like them and the two Desjardins are the big names in mixed doubles curling. And really, Felix and Laurie are the two big names in any kind of curling in Quebec. So they would be the obvious choice if Quebec sent an Olympic. Oh boy, now we're getting political. Let's not do that. But they haven't really broken through at a national level yet. So we'll rule them out.
But, maybe in the next Olympic cycle, they'll be a little bit more of a contender. Who knows?
Maybe.
Then we have Team Sweeting and Kennedy.
I have a question about this one.
Too.
Yeah, I bet it's the same question. Hasn't Mark Kennedy been named the alternate?
Yes. And so because every other team who has a player already playing in the Olympics had to drop out of this, how did Mark Kennedy get a spot? So I wonder if it's because he is an alternate and not really expected to play during the Olympics, they'll let him play both.
Maybe, but I wonder about that, because I don't really get why I like the fact that if you do the Olympics, you're not doing the mixed doubles, but but I don't really know why it is like that, because other countries do dabble in both. Like, I remember the American mixed doubles team last time was Matt Hamilton, who played the doubles and then turned around and went and played with John Schuster and won gold.
Right.
So it could fit into the schedule. And I'm guessing if he's just sitting on the bench,
Maybe, yeah. If if I were curling Canada, I wouldn't want someone pulling a Matt Hamilton just because you're going to be exhausted. I mean, I don't know how Matt Hamilton did it, but if you have a choice of another team, I would pick the other team. So for this reason, I think Sweden and Kennedy will not get picked.
Yeah, for this reason, I'm out. I sound like Dragon's Den, don't
I know. I was just thinking.
I'm not investing in this team.
No.
Although really, normally I would. Like Sweden and Kennedy, can't go wrong.
Oh, for sure, for sure. Then we have Team Tuk Tuk from the Ilderton Curling Club in Ontario.
This is another good team, by the way, that dedicates themselves to mixed doubles. So they would be good choices. It's one of those things we know they're not going to get picked, but it would have been very interesting to see how they would have competed.
Mm-hmm. And then we have Team Walker Myers from the Saville Community Sports Center Highland Curling Club, Edmonton, Regina. It's quite a mouthful.
Yeah, how many?
Well, it's 2 clubs in two different locations.
2 provinces. Okay, let's rule them out just for that, because they'd be pretty good candidates. They'd be on a short list. Also,
one thing that really annoys me is when curling teams put like all the clubs together. And I know my junior team, we were guilty of this, but 4 people on a team with 3 curling clubs in your name, don't do it.
Oh, that's nothing. When the team that I coached won the provincials, we were out of 5 clubs.
Oh my god! Like, just pick one.
4 players, 5 clubs. How is that possible? Anyways, and then we have it shouldn't be Team Wasselq Conings.
I think that's how you pronounce it. From the Unionville Curling Club in Ontario.
Right. I've heard of Lauren Wasselq and not so much Shane Conings. I'm guessing they dedicate themselves to mixed doubles. I apologize if I'm wrong. Unfortunately, I think we both know they're not going to get picked.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know much about them, so they're off my list.
And then here we can ask the same question again with this last team of Weigel and Epping, because Lisa now is going, but how much is she playing? Can she do both?
Same. She's like listed as Jennifer Jones's alternate, but if they play like they did during the trials, Lisa will be playing some games, so kind of sketchy.
Another thought I had, and I mean, I know this isn't going to be popular, but what about like if you were trying to send as few curlers to China as possible? What if you just got Bret and Joss to do it?
Yeah, that's true.
They're already there. I think it'd be very interesting. I want to see people like play the full week and then play another full week and the funny thing is like, I feel tired just thinking about that, but they kind of already do this, don't they? Like they play the Brier and then they fly halfway across the country and start another Grand Slam on Wednesday or something like that, right?
That's true.
So I bet they could do it, but you're right. I think it'd be nicer to give the opportunity to somebody else. So
again, and I think Canada has a little bit more budget to send a couple more players to the Olympics.
So I guess in summarizing all of that, I think we both agree it's probably going to be Homan Morris, but
you never know.
You never know. I would like to see Lot Sahadak. If I had to bet money on this, which
we won't do.
No, the only negative I can say about Homan and Morris is that you and I both predicted them, which is a pretty bad thing. Like we've caused a lot of damage with our predictions before. So Curling Canada might be wise to listen to us and steer clear of whatever we have to say. I think it'll be them. What I was thinking though is that how are they going to I'd love to know what their selection criteria is. And what my dream scenario is that I think that these teams should have to campaign for the spot. And they should have make it like an election where they try to get voters they try to recruit as many votes as they can. Mm-hmm. And we can have attack ads against the other curlers or something like that.
So basically they would be sending Canada's favorite. Now the question is, how many are we doing this by province? Does a certain province get more seats than the other? How is this weighted?
Oh yeah, I think it would have to be through representation and
of course.
I'm just trying to visualize curling attack ads. That's what I'm Reed Carruthers curls with a stabilizer. Do you want him representing our... I'm Kelly and I approve this message.
Because you all know curling with a stabilizer in mixed doubles, not really to your advantage.
That's right. And it's a moot point anyways, because Reed Carruthers isn't in this. But
so I hopefully by next week's episode or by the time we record, they will have made an announcement as to who Curling Canada will have picked. But they haven't said a date or anything or released the criteria. So we're just in the dark here.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. But one thing that I wanted to ask you about is that I think that there's one really good decision that could be made here, and it won't be popular, and I know it's not going to happen either, but how about canceling the Olympics in the first place?
Yeah, I think there's too much money involved. If they didn't... Well, here's the thing. if they didn't cancel the Summer Olympics, I don't think they'll cancel the winter one.
No, and that to me is a bit of an issue because I don't know, I feel very conflicted about this. On the one hand, I love having sports to watch, and I'm kind of sad that we can't watch the mixed doubles this week. And the Olympics, having them on in February will make what is otherwise usually a pretty cold and dark, miserable month go by a little bit quicker. But is it appropriate to be having these when the conditions are still really, really poor?
I mean, at this point, I'm just so exhausted. Like, if you want to go, go. Like, at the end of the day, like, no one's forcing the players to go. So if they're uncomfortable, like, they can just back out.
I think I agree. It's just one of the things that's happened that's kind of been brought up with this is there's a lot of arrogance behind like forcing ahead the Olympics, whether it's wise to do so or not. There's a lot of human rights issues involved.
Well, that's it. Every year, right? There's always like,
oh yeah,
we have it, especially in China too, nonetheless.
No, exactly. And one of the other things that's going on right now is like the World Junior Hockey Championship, aka the biggest deal in the world, according to TSN. I don't know, side rant here, but TSN starts promoting this Christmas hockey tournament like in March. The moment the schedule drops, like breaking news, Canada to open World Junior Tournament against Slovakia or something like that.
Oh, hold on. Can I insert a thought here?
Absolutely.
I'm not surprised they do this because TSN's broadcast schedule between Christmas and New Year's comprised of two things: the World Junior Hockey Championships and the missed plays and best plays of the year. I don't know about you, but every time I turn TSN on, it's always like the missed plays of the year.
That and all the bowl games.
Yeah, oh, that too.
Which actually, can we take a quick aside from that aside?
Mm-hmm.
Because I pulled up a list of those bowl games because you know how we were talking about sponsorship in curling? Sponsorship in college football is pretty interesting too.
Right.
For instance, I won't go through all of these, but some of the bowl games this year include the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl. I'm just looking for some good ones. The Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl, the Lending Tree Bowl, the Jimmy Kimmel Los Angeles Bowl presented by Stifel.
Okay.
Somebody's going to have to explain that to me. Myrtle Beach Bowl presented by Tax Act. The famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
Now that is a bowl I want to win.
Yes. Oh, and here's a good one. The Tropical Smoothie Cafe Frisco Bowl. So, yeah, that's what dominates this time of year on TSN. But
I still also don't understand how these bowls work. It seems like every team ends up playing in a bowl, and I just don't understand which one is more prestigious than the other.
I know, like there's some at the end that are a big deal, like the Rose Bowl is a big one. Yeah. But just to fill the time and to give, I think, people who are sitting on their couches after Christmas something to watch, they just put everybody in a bunch of random games that really don't mean anything. Oh, look, the Cheez-It Bowl.
That I remember from last year.
Oh, and the Duke's Mayonnaise Bowl. That's another good one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but a lot of these bowl games actually are getting canceled because of COVID.
Oh, interesting.
But some are going ahead. And I think just to get back to the controversy behind some of the things with the World Juniors is that I feel like there's quite a bit of arrogance in being like, oh, no, we have to push through sports. And one of the things that became a talking point this week with the World Juniors is that they're not immune to COVID either.
Mm-hmm.
Today, there were 2 players on the American team that tested positive, and they forfeited their game.
With just 2 players?
Just 2 players, but they have to quarantine the whole team.
Okay.
So because of that, they forfeit the game. And I was thinking about that, like it'd be one thing if they left their bubble or if they went out or something, but no, they followed the regulations and here we go. Or at least that's what I understand.
Well, and that's the thing with other other sports that have large teams with a lot of players. If one goes down, well, you have a whole bunch of other players that can still kind of carry the team. But the problem with mixed doubles, if one person goes down, that's it.
That's it. Yeah. That's made very clear in the rules. There are no backup players.
Exactly. So again, odds are someone would test during the event, just given the state of things. And you forfeit the game so the other team goes through. Like, it's just...
That's it. And just I'll finally shut up about the World Juniors. But the one thing that... one of the things that, as I said, was a big talking point this week is that even though it may not be wise to, they're being pushed ahead because I think they generate a hell of a lot of revenue, at least in Canada. I don't know if any other country cares about this.
Probably Russia.
Maybe.
US. Yeah.
Maybe. But in Canada, it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
But the women's equivalent was canceled. And that they were just citing like safety concerns. But really, if it's safe, here I am doing air quotes, to do the men's tournament. No, let's be honest. You're pushing this ahead because you're going to make money off of it.
For sure.
And a lot of women's teams have called them out over this, and they're getting a lot of backlash for it, the International Ice Hockey Federation, and deservedly so, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of the problem here is that like the NFL, all these bowl games, the Olympics forcing things ahead, even when it may be in poor taste to do so. I don't know if it really helps, but
that's why I think they're doing what do you call it, like a cost benefit ratio? Like the money you put in, is it worth the return and the risk? So it's unfortunate that's the case. But another thing that's been canceled, bringing it back to hurling here, is, and our team, Jamie Sinclair is not going to be fond of this, but the USA National Championships have been officially been canceled.
Oh no.
I know. Worst year to pick to like live in a house with your entire team.
I think even we predicted that, by the way. I think we did say like what would happen if everything got canceled next year, God forbid. And well, here we are.
So the event was supposed to be played January 2nd to 9th, so right after the holidays, in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, my favorite I state. So both have been canceled, and based on the press release I saw, they made no mention of how they're going to pick their team to represent them at the Worlds, if it'll just be like last year's rep, or if they're just going to pick a new team. I don't know.
The new Canadian way.
Mm-hmm. So that's that. That's just what I'm going to add there.
It's unfortunate. And I mean, when were they going to be held? Like, I guess relatively soon?
January 2nd to 9th.
Oh, okay.
So right after the holidays, yeah.
Okay, in that case, yeah, because as this time of recording, the Tournament of Hearts and Briar appear to be going ahead, but I mean, everything can change, right?
Yeah, but I think for the Briar and the Scotties and probably the Worlds too, I think the fact that they were able to do it last year and the teams will know ahead of time that they'll be going, so they'll be able to like isolate and quarantine themselves a little more. And especially for the Worlds, like the teams will be already in, I don't even know where the Worlds are going to be, but
me neither.
They can like get on site and like kind of quarantine there. Whereas for like the mixed doubles trials and even the US Nationals with like the holiday season and everything, like everyone's just moving around.
Yeah. Like this is the worst time for COVID
definitely.
Pretty much ever right now, at least in terms of the numbers. Hopefully, like it's pretty precarious and we don't really know what's going to happen from day to day now. I know from our point of view, or here in Quebec, we were saying that the women's provincials have been canceled. We're back to picking a team the way we did last year. The men's has not officially been canceled yet though, because
they're going to be played later.
It's later and who knows what's going to be going on. I think it probably will be canceled in the end, but we're looking much further down the road, so they didn't have to cancel it just yet. But I guess that's the same thing with the US. If it's happening next week, well, no, it ain't.
And maybe I'll be eating my words next week, but look, we were in the same situation last year, and so I think it's just going to be a repeat of that. So I think we're going to have some curling to watch in the spring, definitely.
I hope so. Because again, like, is it appropriate? Maybe yes, maybe no, but I don't know. I need something to watch, especially if I'm going to have to quarantine again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And hopefully our club will be open by then as well.
Yeah. Well, apparently we're still taking rentals, so.
Oh, well, there you go. I mean, got to get that money flowing in.
That's it. They can't go to the bar, but if you can still call it a curling club without a bar.
Oh, no. That's the one thing that I always have to explain to people who don't curl, is that like there's a bar in the curling club, which I guess a lot of sports don't really have. But I'm like, yeah, you just go drinking at the curling club after you play your game.
And you know, we've done many a podcast, Kelly, about how to increase like the number of people coming through curling clubs. Obviously not during times of pandemics and things like that. But why have we not mentioned the bar yet? Or I think we have, but why have there been no public campaigns being like, by the way, there's a bar?
I feel like that's what they should do.
Even if you don't want to curl, you could just sit there and have a few beers.
Well, let's say that in a lot of clubs, they don't have a marketing team doing their promotion. But I feel like when they announce those, like, you know, the open house flyers where they usually have like twice a year, they should just
free beer. Now that we have your
free beer.
Now that we have it's not exactly free, but there is beer.
Hey, even free beer, I feel like your return on investment would be pretty good.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to get that like middle-aged crowd.
I think so. I think it would work well.
All right, so I just want to talk about a final note here, and I think this is definitely like a change we've seen in curling in the past couple of years, and this has to do with like the rise of social media and a lot of like our more quote unquote elite players developing like a media presence and kind of developing their own brand, if you will. And so there's definitely a lot of places where you can source your curling news, places that we definitely browse. So I think, Rob, you said you're very big on Curling Zone and the Curling Zone forum. Reddit is another place.
Reddit is a good source.
Yeah, except the curling subreddit is still not very active. It's mostly filled with newer players or like kind of greens people getting into the sport. However, I don't know if we should name drop them, but we have found two elite curlers on the subreddit.
That's right.
I feel dumb explaining Reddit, but I'm sure there's some people that haven't. But the Reddit is supposed to have a certain level of anonymity where your handle is not supposed to be your name, but something else. So
right.
you're writing everything anonymous, but you know me, I have FBI sleuthing skills and I have found a couple people. I guess I won't name drop them, but if you want to take the time to investigate, that's definitely something that you could do. And definitely our favorite, or the people's favorite social media sites, we have Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, and I guess the big thing in the news this week, other than Darren Molding, like we've mentioned, is the mixed trials being canceled. And just the cancellation of it has gotten a lot of talk on Facebook and Instagram and all of that. There's a lot of opinions being expressed, and in many different directions as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think here we're kind of getting to a point where, so a couple weeks ago when we were talking about that botched friendship episode and how Botcher definitely doesn't have any PR training, but it was kind of like common sense. Just reading some of the comments that have been going around about this like whole mixed doubles thing, perhaps certain players should maybe start taking some basic PR. I don't know if you could take a PR class, but like educate themselves in PR.
I know. And you know what? Here, you can go to the Robin Kelly School of PR. If you don't have anything good to say, don't say it at all. Like, or be honest.
Yeah. Or maybe just like pass it to a couple people beforehand before posting it.
Just have a few people check this before you read it, because I don't care that if people like Brendan Botcher don't have PR. That was disgraceful, that tweet. And I'd have a lot more sympathy for him if he just, in his interview on other podcasts, if he had said things along the lines of, I never should have used the words personal words. I didn't realize how bad that would have been interpreted. I'm really sorry that I put Darren in that kind of position. I apologize. If he had said that, I would have been fine with it. The fact that he tried to meander around everything and imply that he did this by design and everything is fine, I thought was even more insulting.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me was bad PR. Just be honest. Admit that you made a mistake. And here, the issue I have is that people are getting upset about the cancellation. We won't mention names, but that the cancellation of the mixed doubles is controversial. There's people arguing that it should have gone ahead anyway, because if we tested negative, then why should we not be allowed to compete? If all the other regular things in life, like stores and everything, are open, then why can't we?
Basically, if there's no government regulation prohibiting the go ahead of the tournament, why cancel it?
Yeah. And I mean, to that, I say it sucks. Everything about COVID sucks. We're all frustrated, but I think it's really not appropriate to start venting publicly about how COVID is affecting you if what you're complaining about is that I don't get this opportunity to go curl. And I know that a lot of teams have worked very hard to get to this opportunity, and to have it taken away because of a pandemic is really awful. I think it's really tone deaf to start venting your frustrations about how COVID is affecting you if all it is curling related. At the end of the day, this is just a game, and I don't appreciate it.
Well, I think the angle I kind of want to take here is nothing you put on the internet is private or for your own like immediate social circle. Regardless of what your privacy settings are on your social media, whatever you put out there, you're just subject to people providing their own opinion or commenting. So also too, like, I think a lot of players, or at least the more elite players that have more of a social presence, should be aware that like whatever you're putting out there, you're putting yourself out for criticism, and that you can't just you have to kind of accept that. Yeah, you have your opinion, but people have the right to have their opinion on your opinion.
Absolutely. Because this is all coming from would-be competitors in the mixed doubles trials, and we both have played competitively. It was a long time ago, but we know them. We have a lot of them on Facebook. We see their conversations, and they are public figures.
Exactly. So definitely be careful of what you put out there. That's all I'm going to say.
No, me too. It's we accused Matt Dunstone of something similar last year, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It was early in the pandemic, or earlier, I guess. I remember he was expressing frustration about how Saskatchewan was clamping down on curling because it was just too dangerous, and I get it. We're all frustrated. I mean, if COVID has affected all of us, it's blocked all of us from doing what we really want to be doing. If there were no pandemic, you and I would both be in Hollywood right now signing a contract with Netflix. So it's
yeah, but I think also too, it's like this whole situation kind of brought this to life. Eventually this pandemic is going to end, but other stuff is going to happen, and other things are going to annoy these professional curlers, and so you just got to be careful and not put your foot in their mouth when you publicly air it.
That's it. And one more thing I'll just say is that Curling Canada is acting out of an abundance of caution here, which I think that in a situation that we've never been in before, and I know people might argue, well, we've been through COVID forever, but Omicron is a new thing. We don't know how to handle it. But to criticize people who are trying to protect you, and Curling Canada making the move of let's just take the safer option, you got to know that they don't like this any more than you do. So I don't know. I certainly would feel the frustration if I were a competitor, but I really don't think it's appropriate to take that public.
Well, yeah, like you said, read the room.
Yeah, read the room. Exactly.
And whatever you post is never private. So that is my take-home message.
I do have one way that they can solve this, though. Maybe this can be like our closing note, because even if you and I agree that Homan and Morris are a really good choice, Sahadak and Lott are a good choice as well, but you're never going to please everybody, right? Yeah. You're never going to, there's always going to be some criticism. So I think I have the answer.
Okay.
Let's start quarantining Kelly, because I think they should pick us. The stunned silence. I think this is a good idea, because here's what we can boast about. We do have experience. We've tried the mixed doubles provincials once. I survived my injury.
Yep.
Or my wipeout. And really, like I said, you're never going to please everybody, right? But you can unite the country here in disagreement.
By picking us.
Everybody's united if they pick us.
That's true. That's true. Although I don't want to be the one facing that. But okay, I'll DM Curling Canada right now and put our name into the hat.
There we go.
Sounds good.
And if we don't, we'll make our complaints public.
Well, there you go.
Maybe not.
All right. Bye.
Take care.